All right, let's go into game number 5 here. Priest versus the Druid Protect. Monsanto bringing the Malygos Druid. We have warrior bans on both sides, TJ. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind that Monsanto, even though he's on the Team Genji side, he chose to play the traditional lineup of Control Warrior and OTK Paladin. People instead were bringing Mech Paladin and Bomb Warrior, with a shout out to Strifegirl bringing Aggro Warrior. The combo the combo Priest is expected to protect from fr0zen. The Malygos Druid was not something I was anticipating being protected here. What do you think, TJ?
It is pretty interesting. I think that it does well against the Paladin deck. But maybe I don't know, actually. Because I feel like it's poor against the other two. It's poor against Priest, that's for sure. Yeah.
Malygos Druid, in my opinion, is good versus Warrior and Paladin. And he banned a matchup that is supposed to be good for his Druid. But he banned it because he realized that his opponent's probably going to ban the Warrior after it and then protecting his Priest. There's a mind game there.
He definitely didn't want to go into the Warrior Mirror matchup. That's one thing. Because of the fact that he is running the same full removal, no Archivist Elysiana Warrior. So the likelihood that he wins the Warrior Mirror matchup is very low. Maybe he doesn't expect a Warrior ban on the side of fr0zen, because if he knew that, then he probably protects... I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter, because then his Priest is open anyway. So kind of an interesting pick ban phase there for this final match of week number 5 here.
Double Warrior bans isn't actually very common at all. It's happened what looks like to be 3 times over the past 2 weeks of matches. And of course, in the previous weeks before that, from week 2 onwards, it was a Warrior fest all over the place, so lots of Warrior bans. But it's been a few weeks since we've seen people acknowledge the Warriors on both sides. In other regions, it's very common, specifically in Europe, in Asia Pacific, they double ban Warrior a lot. Very interesting. I think it's largely predicated because Asia Pacific plays a lot more Zoo Warlock and other decks like that, which Warrior is much more threatening against those decks. So it makes sense why they want to get rid of Warrior. In Asia Pacific, Zoo Warlock is nowhere to be seen this week. Warlock's actually not represented whatsoever in Americas. In other regions, shout out to Swizz, he brought Burlock Warlock. Weird stuff. No rogues yet to be seen.
They'll bring victory. I will fight with honor.
All right, we'll get into this game number 1. fr0zen on the Holy Wrath Paladin, Monsanto on the Priest. Matchup that we've seen quite a bit. Just saw it twice in both games in the last series. One side and the other side. And Amnesiac took a win on both sides.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty one-sided series, but it's kind of like we were talking about, playing clean.
Yeah, clean play.
Yeah, girls love guys with clean play.
Crystology on 1 for fr0zen, Northstar Cleric on 1 for Monsanto. We got ourselves a game.
That's what you want to see. I like seeing games where neither player draws an optimal hand and it becomes very scrappy. But I also like when both players draw the stone cold nuts. And you get to see the fiery explosiveness on both sides.
Yeah, the games where both players draw the nuts are more interesting to me because they're not blown out by a nut draw, which is more likely, and the first player that does draw the good card usually snowballs from there, whereas if they all already have the nuts in their hand,
is someone injured?
Then they're not going to draw it off the top as often.
Yeah. I wonder if fr0zen almost wants to... Yeah, well, I was going to suggest dropping some kind of 2-drop here, but I was saying, does he even want to acknowledge this no-shot cleric whatsoever? Doesn't look like he has much of a choice here. Cleric's already drawn 1 card. Now he can actually subdue an Elven Archer, but that seems like overkill.
Yeah. there's not going to be any draws here outside of Wild Pyromancer and Circle Feeling. So probably wants to wait until this Northshire Cleric is souped up.
Job's done.
And he's got time. Rolling
Yeah, he
into the Prismatic Lens.
Yeah, it's not that much tempo for the first few turns of the game from Priest.
Yeah, but it was kind of the same in the last series with Amnesiac fr0zen, where he just kind of played his Northshire Cleric, played a thing, healed it, drew a bunch of cards, and then kind of had some explosive turns in the middle of the game that really made it awkward for the Paladin. Like from that point on, if you draw a lot of cards early on, then one minion sticks and you have lethal potentials all over the place. Especially with the extra arms means that he gets to push a lot, or not a lot, but he gets to push this damage in the early game to make the lethals even easier. And these kinds of boards make it awkward for Paladin because it's a threatening board in the sense that there's card draw on the side of Monsanto, there's pretty high health minions that could gain a lot of power. But also, he hasn't expended too many resources to make this happen, which means that if you use big removal tools, you don't have them for the reload.
Job's done.
Interesting. So we see a Shrink Ray here on turn 5 from fr0zen. This Shrink Ray is to, well, deal with the pressure threat and also start discounting Shirvala a little bit more. He has a Wild Pyromancer in hand, so next turn he can Wild Pyromancer and Hammer of Wrath. And if he needs to do something more, he can Consecrate and Hammer of Wrath if need be.
Must consider.
It also doesn't put anything into Psychopomp pool.
Yes, Psychopomp, very much a consideration here. I mean, if I'm Monsanto, I'm probably still considering how I can use extra arms here, or more arms.
Yeah, since minions tend to already have arms, the first cast is the extra arms.
There's some minions without arms, TJ.
Name one.
Quickly.
Acidic Swamp Ooze.
You got me. That was fast. What the heck? It's like you've thought about this before.
I don't know, it just came to me.
Is someone injured?
Well, all the minions in Monsanto's hand have arms.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Is it technically an arm for Shirvala? No, it's a paw.
Let me think.
Fact, I think that every minion in Monsanto's deck has arms. So extra
Bold
arms
claim, TJ.
extra arms is very thematic.
No, that's not true. The injured Blade Master is missing an arm.
He has an arm, so extra arms still thematic because it's giving him extra arms.
Syntax. Or semantic, rather.
Rough time for fr0zen.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this play, the Hammer of Wrath and the Consecration, but you can't stop them from drawing a card. That being said, fr0zen still has held on to the Subdue and does have more card draw sources. I think he might be able to piece together a board swing with Shirvala.
Does need some additional expensive spells in order to make that happen. The only spell right now is Subdue, which will only reduce its cost to 7.
How many cards is fr0zen away from finishing Zephrys?
So Baleful Banker, Novice Engineer, Prismatic Lens, Consecration.
Yep, keep going.
Wild Pyromancer.
Crystology.
He's played Crystology. He needs a Flash of Light,
Okay.
a Timeout,
Okay.
and a Holy Wrap.
So we're missing 3. 3 is the magic number here. Big draws coming out from Monsanto. Really like this play with the injured Blade Master Visualist. Seems a lot better than the Psychopomp because the Psychopomp doesn't develop nearly as much. This is a lot of stats. Psychopomp could develop something equivalent, but it's only a partial chance for that.
Yep. All right, so now a Holy Wrath and a
I
Flash
hope you
Light
like my
away.
invention.
Zephyr's being active. Okay.
Ooh, a quality. Quality is interesting because you can quality Elven Archer, and Monsanto doesn't have a way to like heal and draw cards with the Northshire Cleric.
Yeah, I mean, you
Everything's at 1 health.
I mean, he can equality an Elven Archer and take out the Northshire Cleric also.
True. I would be tempted to
Danger Blade Master
kill the
because
Blade
of silence.
Master in case he has exactly silence.
Oh,
but
he's already played his 1 copy of Silence on the Blood Mage Sound, so I think it'd be safe to get rid of the Northshire Cleric.
Okay, that's fair.
Let me think. I must move quickly.
Is there an alternative here?
He could accept the card draw, just timeout,
Right.
and then roll into Wild Pyromancer quality.
One shot, one.
So this is rolling into Wild Pyromancer quality for
Reporting
range.
for duty.
Yep.
Gets an extra 1/1 on board. He's okay with the card draw.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown that based off a couple of his plays.
Monsanto's already drawn a lot of cards.
Well, yeah, he's already drawn a lot, so it's like, what's one more?
Well,
Or a lot
potentially a lot.
more? Yeah. I mean, is there a potential lethal here if he went fast enough? I don't think so. He's only got 7 mana.
He's got Circle of
must
Healing
consider.
and Pyromancer, TJ.
So,
So if he double beaming Sidekick, Wild Pyromancer, and like Turvied.
and Turvy's the beaming sidekick sacrifices that. I guess you could just Turvy one of the minions on the other side to just negate it completely. And then Circle of Healing, you'd have spent 3 mana. You could beaming sidekick again, Divine Spirit. No, it wouldn't be enough.
Must move quickly.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been enough because the most you can do is go from 3 to 7 with the beaming Sidekicks, and then Divine Spirit Fire, which is 14. And even if the Wild Pyromancer activations weren't around, you wouldn't get it. So it didn't look like Monsanto had the lead for it. A lot of times you just want to work from the maximum capacity you can go for and think optimistically, and then think how you can narrow it down. One of the traps that I found when I'm playing Combo Priest is trying to piece things individually one by one and think like, okay, how much damage can this minion do? How much damage this can do? Start thinking about your maximum possible range and narrow it down as quickly as possible. It helps counting much quicker. So think about your max possible damage with 6 plus the 2 beaming sidekicks plus Divine Spirit Inner Fire. That's 20.
Yeah.
And you think if you can get to 20, that's the key. If you can't, what's the next highest that you can get to? And so on and so forth.
I hope you like my invention.
Looks like a timeout turn here from fr0zen.
Yeah, he wants to set up the biggest Wild Pyromancer quality Shrivala turn.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit off in terms of the mana still because Wild Pyromancer is too expensive. So him drawing the
he could
Flash
do
of
it.
Light, I believe all he has to do is get Holy Wrath and he'll have the Zephyrus active.
So he could still play Shrivala next turn, but the problem is he can't Baleful it, and he knows that with all these cards in a Wild Pyromancer, there is a threat for it to die.
Whew, 2 Reborn minions, and that one was one of the worst outcomes there for fr0zen's perspective. Monsanto. How can he maximize this? Maybe pick up a card draw with the Accolade, I guess. Maybe he doesn't want to draw too many cards. There's this funny scenario where people were talking about how they really wanted Zephyrs to offer Circle of Healing against their opponent's Northshire Cleric. Just make them draw a bajillion cards.
That is essentially a dead draw. All right, let's see. Wild Pyromancer plus Equality still leaves these Reborn minions. Oh, I think fr0zen is dead.
Let me think.
What if you quality'd and nothing else? 4,
Okay.
10, 15 on the board. You'd still die.
You'd still die.
Because you could Power Word Shield, double Beaming Sidekick, Divine Spirit, and Interfire.
Pretty much if a minion sticks, regardless of its health, he has enough. Right now, he's Circle of Healings.
Yep.
Wait, Circle of Healing, heal.
Yeah. So this is an act of desperation. Now he's playing control.
Wait.
He's gonna try to Baleful Banker his Zephyrus in order to finish this game now. So he needs to draw Holy Wrath next turn. The Shivala kill is no longer possible.
Yeah.
This is a pure survival move.
Yeah. So
Hold on, is this lethal?
he can Power Word Shield. He needs Divine Spirit, I think, because he needs to deal 30.
Okay.
There it is. All right, he got it.
A single 1 health minion
Hey,
survives,
I got you,
well,
friend.
specifically injured Blade Master. And there you go. Game number 1, over to Monsanto.
Yeah. I mean, he drew 4 more cards than a deck that's designed to draw cards as fast as humanly possible. So when that happens, you're going to find what you need. 1 minion sticking. And fr0zen just not finding like the High Priest of the Call. If that was almost anything else, like Timeout, Holy Wrath, because Shivala is all of a sudden active. Even like Crystology, because he had one left in his deck, he could have Crystologied at the end. Oh, no, it wouldn't have worked out that way because his Wild Pyromancer would have died. I don't know, I guess there was a couple outs, but he tried to craft it in a way to be able to Wild Pyromancer, Equality, and Shivala Baleful Banker on the same turn for that big swing, but just couldn't quite get there. It was 1 turn off.
Yeah. All right, well, that's game number 1 in the books. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have the conclusion of this series, the last of the weekend. Stay tuned.
Legends say powerful treasures are hidden everywhere here in Aldum.
If we hope to defeat Rafam, we'll need as many as we can get. He's already unleashed the ancient plague lords and countless monsters. Keep them distracted, Reno.
Not a problem. This plan is totally gonna work. Ain't that right, Finley?
Oh, yes! I have them right where I want them.
There is an artifact here. The name is...
The scales of justice. Oh, it must be really fancy.
only to be used in a time of great peril. Yes, I think this qualifies.
Hey, look, Finley! You've lured one of the Plague Lords!
Take this, fiend!
In the face! Yeah! Hey, guys! Get that treasure! We've got a Plague Lord to destroy!
Yes, please, hurry!
Not to worry, Finley. We'll just push this thing right here.
No, that's a trap! Watch out!
It's all good. I am phonily timed.
Gracious me!
What we actually need to do is press this. And there. A fish.
No! It's the scales of justice!
Ah, who wants to use it first?
Oh, I do! Me! On second thought, maybe give it to Finley?
All you had to do was hold a rope.
Here we go, blaming the tall, ruggedly handsome guy again.
Hi, I'm Monsanto. I came up with the username Monsanto. I was in high school. It's from the company Monsanto, the big evil corporation. One of my teachers hated that company so much that at the end of the year he told us, well, if you didn't learn anything from my class, it's okay, as long as you remember that you should hate Monsanto. And that was like such a big thing to hear from your teacher, and I just immediately changed all my usernames to Monsanto. My best Hearthstone Esports memory was in 2016 in summer prelims. I was facing Dude 7597, and I was completely losing on board as Druid against the Zoo Warlock. I had played 5 spells during the game, then I jammed the Yogg-Saron on. It cleared his board, built myself a board, and the next turn I had double Savage Roar for lethal. What makes me special as a player, I think, is I try everything. I try every possibility in decks. I try new things. And so when there's something that went under the radar, there's a big chance that I actually found it and I can bring that deck. Being in Grandmasters means a lot to me. Being able to just compete another full year of Hearthstone, that was a really big thing for me. I want to win the whole thing. That's my personal goal.
Monsanto currently up 1-0. Our first Shaman makes its appearance today on the final series. That was our last break, everybody, for Hearthstone Grandmasters week number 5. And after that, only 4 games each, as relegation is very much on the forefront of each minds. The stream has finally caught up to Race and his series. And reading his comments on Twitter, pretty heartbreaking for all the Race fans and supporters out there, given that he's talking about how it's weighing on him mentally. And, you know, it's difficult to try to come to terms with the fact that you try really hard to get to Grandmasters, and then you might end up losing it all and effectively retiring until you're able to climb back. It's the brutal nature of the competition, and that's just kind of what the stakes have been set. So you got to make the most of every opportunity. In the meantime, players who are playing for playoff spots, Monsanto and fr0zen, neck and neck. One player at 5-4, one at 6-3. A win here from fr0zen can help separate him from the pack further. fr0zen taking a lot of pride in his performance overall in GM. You can see him talking about it in interviews, saying how he has the best record overall in GM. Hunter Ace is, of course, a prime candidate to challenge exactly that, though.
Very much so. Hunter Ace is dominating.
Hunter Ace is dominating, but you could have just said Hunter Ace is playing.
Yeah. When he plays, he tends to dominate. All right, so Malagos Druid versus Quest Shaman. This is a kind of a refreshing matchup. This is a matchup with a delicate, a balance, a dance, if you will.
Go on.
It's similar in early game style to just normal Quest Druid versus Quest Shaman, where you're just trying to mitigate the Shaman's ability to snowball a board and generate, you know, overwhelming amount of resources.
Job's done.
While at the same time trying to be a little bit greedy with your removal because you know how much reload Shaman has. It's the end game that makes it much more difficult, because instead of just trying to apply pressure as the Druid, you're having to find ways to remove the board while also getting close to your combo. Makes it much more difficult to navigate.
From fr0zen's perspective, having this double Goblin Lackey is interesting, because you can remove the Crystal Merchant. You can also just go for the Questing Adventurer. I like removing the Crystal Merchant, though.
Yeah, it gets to hold on to this Evil Totem. Also gets to do the double questing adventure next turn. Questing Explorer, sorry. Double
He
questing
could
adventure would be insane.
end up using just Titanic Lackey and Goblin Lackey instead, because he can play Titanic Lackey on the 2/1 and then Goblin Lackey on his Titanic Lackey and trade him.
No, that's true. That keeps the board around. Keeps it 2/2. And the Goblin Lackey.
Yeah, and also somewhat protects his Evil Totem.
From a pounce.
Yeah. This is
Though he would have just pounced last turn.
it's true.
Double time and double pay. Double time and double pay.
Job done.
What's the benefit to each? Titanic Lackey could make a key minion outside of the range of Starfall Swipe later on.
Right, yeah. Titanic Lackey's buff is a lot more important for disruption against the Druid. The Goblin Lackey, you tend to be ahead on the board anyways, so he's just getting the use out of it right now.
Yep. That's one of those really small, really interesting
Very,
lines.
very, very small. But it could have big implications both ways. It could be something that is great for Frozen. It could be something that he wishes he had Goblin Lackey to have that rush.
Yeah, it's weighing those like small fringe case scenarios against each other. Of one of those two lackeys giving you a massive advantage.
Because the pan out is still fairly similar in that Frozen's going to be playing double questing Explorer every time this turn. Unless he picks up
Of course it's the right way.
Evil Cable Rat, and even then I'd argue that you want to play double questing Explorer. And then if you did play Titanic Lackey, you're not actually protecting it against
Of
Oasis
course it's the
Searcher
right
or
way.
Swipe, so you might as well just hold on to the Titanic Lackey. Oh, interesting. No attack from the Goblin Lackey.
Whoa.
No attack, huh?
Why?
I don't know. Let's ask him later.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time understanding.
Before I question anything, I want to try and make sure that is there any benefit to keeping them at 30 life? I don't think so.
Generally, no.
Against Priest, I understand.
Right, against Warrior.
Against
you
Temple
keep it.
Warrior, I understand.
Right, Threat of Battle Rage,
Threat of
Threat of
Battle
Light
Rage.
Warden.
If you're
Frozen can finish the quest this turn and utilize his hero power.
if you're banking on getting a Shadow Strike, I understand.
From nothing but power.
Ooh, a Mutate with Mogu Flesh Shapers in hand.
Wow, that's really big, considering that he can also. Okay, so he can
Hero Power double Titanic Lackey.
right, and then Mogu Flesh Shaper. So he plays the Titanic Lackey. The other Titanic Lackey.
Spread the wealth. Double Mogu Flesh Shaper. One of them gets evolved. What a turn! What?
Geppetto Joy Buzz. Funny thing is, like, one Starfall clears this.
Yeah.
After all that,
Yeah.
Monsanto can clear it with one card and then some.
He didn't have it though. What do you think of the acidic Swampus in Frozen's list?
Let's see. So the most threatening classes right now are Priest,
Paladin.
Paladin, and Druid.
I mean, it shuts off a True Silver Champion, which in a matchup like Malagos Druid, no, what am I saying? Malagos Druid. This is Shaman. Shutting off the True Silver Champion could make it more difficult for them to get the additional damage they need to win with Holy
or
Wrath.
Tyrion.
Or Tyrion, yeah. Tyrion is not as crucial in against Shaman, because oftentimes Shaman doesn't give you time to play Tyrion. If they do, you're just going to kill them anyway, because they don't go above 30.
Time waits for no one.
What about Barista onto the Geppetto?
That's interesting.
You can get a 1-mana Shutter Walk.
That's dope. And you could bounce it back immediately.
Yeah.
It's also liable to sometimes die to stuff, though. If you don't get a bouncer.
Yeah. Because a lot of the minions in this deck are small, but the barista play doesn't do too much onto the board right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I looked at the two opponents that fr0zen had this week, Monsanto and Bloodyface. Both of them were playing Druid, Warrior, Priest, and Shaman and Mage. And none of them were necessarily weapon tech. So a lot of times what players end up doing is they analyze their opponent's previous weeks and they think, what are they likely to bring? Neither of those players brought OTK POW in their previous week. And Control Warrior isn't super dependent on weapons. So the Acidic Swampooze does seem to be more of an interesting choice here.
I wonder.
It's great against Hunter, because Hunter has only one Eagle Horn bow, so you shut it down.
Yeah. Overload makes it so former champ can't come online with the hero power here. You could go for a Kobold Lackey Barista without the hero power, which it looks like just the most powerful play he can make on the board. Let's get the Acidic Swampooze back also. Just a 3-2 that he can place on the board. Help fill his mana curve. Both Oasis Surger's gone. That's got to be something. Oh.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Blood Mage swipe.
That's pretty good, Dan.
Blood Mage swipe doesn't give Monsanto much development, though. So, and he knows that there's going to be a Sandstorm on the opposite side.
I wonder.
Yeah, he knows that Sandstorm. I mean, he knows Sandstorm, Acidic Swamp is Kobold Lackey. Whew.
I wonder if you can get greedier.
Ferocious Howl?
Yeah, your Ferocious Howl. Look for the Starfall.
Yeah, because he can 7 damage on board. He can take that, especially gaining armor with the Ferocious Howl, and then go for maybe a bigger swing with Blood Mage Swipe next turn.
Yeah, the big swings is what you really need as the Druid to lock them out.
Yeah.
Plus, this is a Malagos Druid, right? So seeing a second swipe will make you feel a lot better about stuff.
That's also true. Yeah, that swipe is primo.
Starfall. Wow.
Rewarded. And then some.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. Sting like a bee.
Two former champs coming out. 2 hot shots, rather. Ooh, Monsanto picks up the Wrath of the Thanos. It's good stuff, TJ.
Yeah. Kill off one of these 5/5s. Still, though, you know, Monsanto's game plan needs to remove and then buy time for his combo. Without Nourish, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to keep fighting and fight enough to have, like, multiple turns of, like, combo setup with the Dream Petal Florist. So while he's picking up some good removal options, the Nourish is what's going to unlock everything because it'll give Monsanto options.
I wonder.
God waits for no one.
There's a Nourish.
Yep, Monsanto debating if he wants to trade to the 1/1, should take it. It's a free trade. He has the extra damage if he needs to anyways. Evil Cable Rat, potentially big outcome here for fr0zen.
Good ones. Wow. So could go for like ethereal double sandstorm here.
Okay, I'm down. You set up a big enough board for like Bloodlust and all those things. Threat.
Blazing Invocation.
Blazing Invocation seems good. You can get. Oh, with the Discover nerfs though, TJ.
Ah, yep.
It's not as reliable.
Yep.
Soul of the Murloc.
Wind Fury gives him really high upside though. Because if he gets like a big mutate evolve, then can Wind Fury for like some surprise burst damage. Much more situational though, and Blazing Invocation, one thing I like about it is it just gives you flexibility. Sometimes you get 3 poor options, but at least it's 3 poor options that you get double the value off of because of your hero power.
You can nourish into nourish, TJ.
So you have hand space for it?
Yes.
Starfall also looks pretty appealing.
Starfall looks magnifique.
Is that any language?
Probably.
What to do?
But that's his last Starfall. Might be worried about reload, but he knows that there's a Kobold Lackey Acidic Swamp Ooze in hand, 2 spells generated, and 1 Lackey.
I mean, it is his second Starfall, and it was something that fr0zen could have weighed, right? He could have played Soul of the Murloc instead of pushing the 5 damage. Pushing the 5 is important, though, because he has double Kobold.
Yeah.
This 3-5, the Noob's Not Defender that keeps coming out is so nutty. Wow. Okay, how much damage is fr0zen able to generate here? He's
Not
got
enough.
6, 10, 14, 18 damage.
You belong to the bomb now.
I mean, by dealing all this damage, though, Monsanto actually has freedom to use Hidden Oasis after the Nourish now.
Yeah.
When your opponent starts doing that, you know what time it is soon, which is you got to figure out a way to end this game. Nourish Hidden Oasis makes sense because you're also dumping cards that are on the left, which makes at least better.
Yep. You're also pretty safe. You could kill the 3/3. You have a 6/6 and a 3/2 versus a Kobold Lackey on board. You're at 30 life.
Barista's already been used too, which is nice. The
Yeah.
one thing that you're worried about is Shutterwalk.
Yeah, and you still have a read on 2 cards in the hand. You know that there's an Acidic Swamp Ooze, and you know that there's a Lackey.
Oh, wait. Is Monsanto thinking about tempoing Malagos?
Oh, no. There's no floop.
I mean,
He Ethereal Lackey is holding on to 2
actually
spells.
a play that fr0zen can't answer.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what those 2 spells are. They haven't been played
Right.
yet.
It would be the read of the century, TJ.
It would be the read of the century, but it's pretty risky.
I didn't say it was a good read. I said it would be the read of the
Okay.
century. All of this direct damage. Soul of the Murloc definitely not kicking in here. Double Life Drinker. Or perhaps do we want to capitalize on this Wind Fury now?
He could also Acidic Swamp Ooze Soul the Murlocs.
That's fair enough. I don't mind that either.
Just to try and make a resilient board. Maybe fr0zen's trying to bank on a Shutterwalk here. Crystal Merchant plus Dream Puddle Florist does guarantee a Malagos or Elise reduction, which means that he could do the Malagos quadruple Moonfire in a turn, at the very least. Just 24.
He also has 9 cards in hand. Okay, this is important for him to rearrange things, by the way. Power Lock can go on the far right. What I was thinking is he could pounce. Okay, this sounds really out there, but he could pounce and then Elise. He'll get a copy of Swipe and the Malagos, and he can swipe Moonfire, but I think that's a little bit too ambitious. I think it's just better to do this Vapor Flores play that you're talking about. And the reason why I bring all this up is because I think it's important as the Druid player to think about breaking up your combo, because a lot of times you get suckered into thinking about going the Malagos burst.
Yeah.
Big discounts. Oof. Hold on. How much damage is this? Not enough?
Not enough.
If you Kobold Lackey the 6/6, trade into 3/3, Wind Fury for 6, Bog Slosher for 6 more, that's 1 damage off.
Oh.
Am I counting that right? I don't even know if he has enough mana to do all that. I think he does. Oh.
No, he wouldn't quite have enough, would he?
It's so close. He wouldn't have enough mana to do that.
He is dead if he does not heal.
I'm pretty sure he is dead regardless.
Yeah, he's dead regardless.
He's got 2 Malagos for 2 mana.
But the second Moonfire won't copy.
You belong to the bomb now.
It's still enough. It's 33.
Malagos is gonna get there.
Yep. It was close. He got down to 4.
It was very close, and it's like one of those things where you have to.
Oh no, the second Moonfire will copy.
It's one of those things where you have to kind of like think about whether or not you had an opportunity to squeeze more damage, but I think fr0zen did a pretty good job pushing as much as he could.
Yeah.
And the Moonfires are gonna wrap it up.
44 damage.
Plus
Yikes.
the board, so 48. 49.
Yeah. And that's against Shaman, which is a deck that usually pressures you a lot, and fr0zen just wasn't able to get quite enough. 4 damage off.
Monsanto improves to a 6-4 record and ties fr0zen. So we're going to have quite an interesting standings update on how everything is shaking up, because there's a lot of players there now at 6-4 at that division.
Yep.
And we'll see who is going to be at the cutoff and who's bubbling.
Yeah, it's kind of a close race all across the board. Even if you factor in those relegation spots, you know, there's a few players in each division that are vying for playoffs, a few players in each division that are vying for relegation.
Look at that, TJ. Monsanto wins, and yet despite that is, well, potentially bubbled out. We have to find out who out of that 4-way tie. This is not updated.
It's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, this is not updated. This is in alphabetical order, but it's an interesting spot. Like, who's actually in 5th? Who's actually in 2nd? That's all going to change coming into the last couple weeks of playoffs. It's definitely an interesting one to talk about. Let's go ahead and check in with Monsanto for a brief interview. Monsanto, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up?
Not much, not much. How are you?
I'm good.
Cool.
This last game was pretty intense. If I kept not drawing Nourish, there was no way I could get out of this, but I drew it, I think, at the last possible turn where I could still win the game, and then I turned the corner.
Yeah, you know, let's talk a little bit about the hold on the swipe, because it looked very clean for a little bit, and then you hesitated, and then we were even thinking, like, is it worth holding on to? What was going through your mind as you're just holding on to certain cards that what many people probably feel like would be the obvious play at first glance?
Yeah, so that swipe, I mean, in practice, I was always winning just without Malagos by tempoing with Surgers and Floop. So I would tend to always use swipe, but at that point in the game, I had already used both my Surgers to very little value. So I actually got rid of my win condition if I used that swipe some of the time. So I felt like I needed to save it. Ended up not needing it at the end, but like with different florist outcomes, sometimes you actually do need the swipe. So I think I had to hold it.
When you're saying your win condition, are you talking about clearing the board, or are you talking about game-ending damage?
Usually game-ending. Usually you just like turn 5 against Starfall, clear the board with an Anubis or something like that. Like that's best case scenario, but it happens quite often. And then later in the game, if you manage to flip Anoa's Surger, usually the shaman just never comes back on board from that point. So you can just win on board and just use swipes and like maybe Malagos Moonfire for lethal or something like that. Just tempo Malagos. I almost tempo Malagos that game, but I knew he had 2 random spells, so I was a little bit afraid there was a Hex or a Plague of Murloc or something.
Do you want to know what they were?
What were they?
Wind Fury and Soul of the Murlocs.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Man, a few words.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're kind of going through these weeks where you 2-0 or get 0-2'd back and forth. Week 3, 2-0. Week 4, 0-2. This week, 2-0. Next week, you're not going to go 0-2, are you?
No, of course not.
With the playoff race so close, it's a really very close. There's a 4-way tie for second place right now.
Yep.
With you, Amnesiac, Bloodyface, and fr0zen all tied for second place. I'm going to ask you a controversial question. Let's say these are the only 4 players that could get top 4 with Sand. Who's the odd man out of this group of 4? Amnesiac, you, Bloodyface, and fr0zen.
That's a tough one. Wait, I'm gonna say Amnesiac.
Okay.
Just because
Okay.
I mean, like, the first season he was not really focusing or anything. I mean, this season I feel like he's been playing well. Out of those 4, maybe Bloodyface has been playing the worst. Or yeah,
the most
fr0zen.
mistakes.
Amnesiac played very well this season, so maybe Bloodyface. I don't know.
Got it. Yeah. I was kind of expecting him to just be like me.
Me.
I'm not making it. I like the confidence.
I should be on top. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you were doing pretty well. I think you had some bad beats early in the season. I think that was going on, and it wasn't really going your way. But
If we remember, Monsanto has the cleanest plays.
that's right. Wears the freshest
Yeah.
clothes.
Yep.
Hangs out with the hottest dudes.
That's right.
You wouldn't say that to him at LAN. Monsanto's jacked. All right, you're
I
the
know.
last.
He knows.
You're the last interview of the weekend, so a lot of people are talking about relegation and the pressure. It seems like it's not really affecting you very much. There's a handful of players. It feels like they're kind of stone cold. We're looking at like Amnesiac and Zalay. They seem to be cool, pretty cool on camera. Is the pressure getting to you at all, Monsanto?
Not the relegation pressure. This was never a concern for me. I don't like. I was never close to relegation. Like I've never been below 50-50 in Grandmasters, and I'm pretty confident that I'm not gonna get relegated at least this season. I'm just looking to get a playoff spot. To be quite honest.
I like it.
Yeah.
You've never been below 50-50. You
And
never
never will.
Never will.
Positive record to the day I die. Nicely done, Monsanto. All right. Well, I mean, do you have any final words you'd like to say? We usually like to give the floor to the final interviewer of the day for waiting so long. You can say anything you want, but you have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, I
Anything
didn't
at all.
prepare anything. See you next week, guys. I'm sorry.
Short and sweet. I
I'm
like it.
so-
Congrats.